Hi. Alright, so, because you guys are actually going to hear my voice for the, well, second time. Yes. Anyway, so, why am I looking like this, you ask? Good question. I was listening to the DNC last night and feeling physically sick. Now, I know everyone sort of accuses Bernie supporters of being over the top, of being neurotic, of being sore losers, etc., sort of thing. And I will admit, there's definitely been some moments where I've heard some people say some stuff that's really not right. You know, like that it'll be either misogynistic or it'll just be not nice. And I try to be a very nice person. And I will say that some of the speakers last night had some beautiful moments. There were some excellent points, just... But what kept on getting to me is the amount of times that they would sort of say that they want to stamp out corruption in politics, when practically only the night before there had been the WikiLeaks situation. There had been all these emails sort of pointing out that the Democratic primaries had pretty much been fixed. Now, I actually have friends on my Facebook and things like that who actually are Hillary Clinton supporters. And if you are a Hillary Clinton supporter, that's fine. I'm not necessarily sort of saying to you, oh, you're wrong or terrible or whatever sort of thing, because I don't do that. But what I am a little bit upset about is just how no one even seemed to sort of say a word about it. I understand that perhaps it's not the right time for it, perhaps it's not the right place. But, Debbie Wasserman Schultz resigns as the head of the DNC, and then 5 seconds later is hired on by Hillary Clinton as part of her campaign, and no one says a word. And that's the thing, I do think that something needs to be sort of said at this convention, that perhaps there at least needs to be some sort of, nod to, yes, some bad things have gone down. And to a certain extent, it almost sort of needs to be that it's not a done deal that she's suddenly the nominee, because how do we know that she won those votes? How do we know that, there's been so much bad stuff that's gone down, to be eloquent. And I will say that eloquence last night was in high demand. I mean, there were some beautiful speeches, Michelle Obama. I have to say, I know that some people who are Bernie supporters were a bit about him. But to tell the truth, Bernie Sanders, I think that was a beautiful speech. I think they were very eloquent. I think they were very poised. I'll admit, I was extremely pleased about the beginning part of it. The end part of it was still very good. And he has a point. I do understand this idea that it's this thing of we should get behind Hillary Clinton, etc., so we can have the largest voting bloc to then, block Trump. The only thing is, I don't really believe in a two-party system to begin with. That's what I liked about this, was that we weren't voting for, Democrat versus Republican. We were voting for a person whose views actually matched ours. That was what I thought was so wonderful. It was I wasn't going into the, voting booth sort of having to check marks and be like, I guess. With him, it was yes! It was a firm check. It was a double check almost. And yet, it's this idea of just, well, do you want to vote for Trump? It's no, I don't want to vote for Trump. I also don't want to vote for Hillary. I'd like to vote for you, if that's okay. Maybe. I mean, it's just... Oh, my fuck. So here's the thing. Every person who went up there was talking about stamping out corruption and politics, etc. sort of thing. All I could think to myself was, how can you say this without blushing? And so here we are. So I thought to myself, okay, if you can talk about all of this, anti-corruption sort of stuff without blushing, I'll do it for you. I have about dozens of blushes, seriously, and I know a lot of people do. And that's why I'm doing this. Now, I know I might lose some followers. I barely even have any. That's fine. I'm not doing this for followers. I'm not doing this to keep followers. I'm just doing this because it's what I believe, and that to me is the most important thing. And I'm not doing this to gain followers, because the thing is that, that's not what this is about. I'm fine with gaining followers through, like, doing nice makeup, or nice makeup, but doing nice makeup, or for product reviews, things like that, like, like earning followers that way, like, the old-fashioned way, the nice way. But in this case, fuck it, I needed to say something. So to me, I kind of want this to go somewhat viral. Not the video per se, but I want there to be the hashtag blushing for the DNC. Now, that could be for FOR or for the number. I'll have a hashtag for both. If you personally do sort of feel like, I mean, I feel that you can actually be for the DNC. You can be for the Democratic Party. But if you do sort of feel that it's a bit rich, the idea of sort of talking about stemming out corruption, but not really acknowledging the corruption in your own party, if you do feel that that's a little bit... I'd like you to share this. I'd like you to share the hashtag. You can take credit for it. I don't care. But I just want to show that, there are a lot more of us than they think. That there are those of us who are rather upset at the idea that, pointing out corruption on the part of the Democratic Party, that, who sort of are tired of this, are wanting to sort of say, we wanted to vote for someone, we wanted our votes to count, and it seems like you didn't give a damn. I want them to understand that we're not totally pleased with this. I mean, if you look at the DNC convention, that all the speakers have something to do with Hillary. There is no speaker for Bernie Sanders, which I know someone's going to sort of say, well, she won. But that's the thing. Like, she kind of... Not only because of, say, how this corruption has sort of brought some of the polls into question, but also there's supposed to be this idea that there's supposed to be, in theory, like a roll call type thing. There's supposed to be sort of like a call to vote on who they want to be their nominee. And I understand that to a certain extent people sort of feel like, well, it's a done deal, it's her. But that was sort of the thing, is that while she was handed a lot of the superdelegates sort of votes at the beginning, the idea was that they weren't actually supposed to really sort of vote until the convention. And, she might still win it. Fine. I still won't be pleased, and I still will probably wind up voting somehow independent, be it Jill Stein, be it writing in Bernie Sanders, which I do believe is still an option. And I know that someone's going to be sort of saying, for Christ's sake, man, let it go. And I do understand that. But I don't want to, and I don't really see why I have to. I don't see why it has to be a two-party system. I do believe that you can not vote for Trump and not vote for Hillary at the same time. It's entirely possible. I know. Weird, right? But that's the thing. It's the electoral fucking process. You can write in a name. You can write in Bernie Sanders. Or you can vote for Jill Stein, the Green Party, because God knows a woman has been trying for a long while. I mean, oh my fuck. Alright, sorry, I'm probably rambling enough. And besides, you already know that I'm going to write a hell of a lot more than I already just sort of said. So I'm going to end it here. But do consider putting on as much blush as you like, or as little, or whatever, and using the hashtag blushing for the DNC to point out that while we're not exactly pleased with political corruption on the Republican side, we're also not really big fans of it on the Democratic side either. Anyway, thank you for your time. I'll return you to a regularly scheduled lip gloss.